Self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. This is a very important message that needs humanity's attention right now. Every single person should be listening to this message because this is going to affect the world as a whole. Our world will never be the same. These are the words that are coming through: self destruction. We're headed for self destruction. We're headed for, I'm hearing, self deletion. I was literally just snug as a bug in a rug in my bed, and I had to hop back on here because all of the messages that I have acquired over the past few days have led up to this. And on Wednesday, me and a friend did a remote viewing session on our financial system, and now I'm realizing how important that message is, and it all ties into what is going on now. This will be the crash that echoes around the world. This will be in alignment with the 1929 crash, but it feels that it's going to be much bigger because it's going to birth us into the new world government, the new world order. I believe the last crash was around the Industrial Revolution. So every time we have a crash, just know that our world changes. Our world changes every 80, 90, 100 years. We get a different world, and this is no different. We're going to break this thing down because there's a lot of things that happened in the last video. And believe it or not, Charlie Kirk's energy is still here. This is why the headache, and I feel as if his energy is truly wanting me to come back here because somehow, some way, I don't know why them taking him out is about the financial crash. So I have a splitting headache, which is what I was channeling his energy in the last reading we did a few hours ago. So we need to dig into this. We're going to need to go into the Rothschilds. I'm going to make this video so clean and simple. I'm going to try to do this in 15 minutes. I just truly need to get this down so I can start putting the codes together because we're going to go into remote viewing sessions and start to shift the paradigm on what they're trying to do. Okay. So please, when you come in, let me know if you can hear me okay. Put a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe, you guys. I put my heart and my soul into this, and click on all notification bells. Okay. So the song that I'm channeling is Self Destruction. It's an old song. This song literally was back in, I think, 1988. So 1988, this song. And I'm going to read a few of the lyrics, and then we need to talk about the first crash because I did a past life regression, and the guy who was a stockbroker in New York, he experienced the first crash from the angle of he was a stockbroker. So we're going to talk about that and what happened on the first crash and why that's coming back up because we had been doing some healing work on that lifetime. He had some very traumatic things that happened from that crash. And we need to go back in and heal some of those things. And I believe the reason why we were able to open that up is because we needed to see it's about to happen again. There's about to be another Great Depression. And this time, we're going to figure out a way to stop it. So, this song that I was channeling is by Cool Mo D. It's old school hip hop. So, what it says is, we all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America is self destruction. You're headed for self destruction. Self destruction. You're headed for self destruction. That's how the hook goes. And if you remember, Beyonce has a song called America Has a Problem. On her latest tour, they even wear outfits like that look like newspaper clippings. And it says America has a problem. And so they've been telling us that America has a problem. So the first thing we need to know, the confirmation we are getting, somehow, some way, them assassinating Charlie is leading to this self destruction of America. Okay. Hey, I'm on the video. So here's the thing, guys. Now I need to tell you this. Now I need to tell you this. So, what happened, what we found out, see, in the last video, I pulled a message very important. I was channeling that the World Economic Forum is about to pull out of Israel. And what I mean by that is they're going to pull funding away from Israel. And why that's important is because Israel has its hands in every industry around the world. Like I say, personally, I know because I used to be in Hollywood. They run Hollywood, heavy, heavy investors, right? They need a lot of capital to keep their multiple business going on. Now, we're going to tie it to my client, right? So his name was Alex, and he was a very successful stockbroker back in New York during the 1920s. So when the crash happened, what ended up happening is everyone started to pull their money out. At the same time, people got fearful. And why did that happen? Why do crashes happen? This is what we found out after remote viewing. Who was it that caused this incident to lead to the massive um, crash of 1929? We traced it back through a remote viewing that it was, in fact, the Rothschilds, right? And so the Rothschilds, what happened was they what they do is they will go long. So that means that they will be bullish on stocks and those will go up. And then they got greedy and they said we're going to make money on the way down as well. And then so they start to short the stock. So then essentially they and the financial institutions make money. But see, you are told, taught, and trained when you go to school that you need to invest for the long run. So to invest and not take your money out. But their system goes against that very rule that they teach you because they go long, they go bullish. And when the stock reaches a peak, they purposely short the market going back down to almost where you bought it from. So essentially, all of the gains that you just earned gets absorbed in these put options, and essentially you lose everything. So they've made money twice, on the way up and on the way down. What you've made is you've invested your initial, let's say, $5, because back then $5 would have been a lot of money. You've invested that and it goes up. Let's say it went up to $100. But because you're told, taught, and primed not to sell, then when they do the put option to make money on the way down, they start shorting the market. And then you get afraid because you see it dropping. It went from 100 to 80 to now 50. You're like, I got to sell. It's crashing and burning. And then you see it at 20. And then you see it back to $5 where you bought it from. So you didn't make anything. So this is how they've been stealing the wealth from people for a very, very long time. They give us industry and they give us rules. However, themselves, they are the maker of the rules of the game. So the rules they give you are the rules to stay the loser because they made up the rules. You have to know that. So we traced it back to the Rothschilds, right? And the Rothschilds are of Ashkenazi Jew, which is a noble banking family, and they come from Frankfurt, Germany, I believe. And this is important because my client is of German descent. So his background, he's American, but his background, his lineage is German. So he was a vibrational match to this Rothschild energy. So it doesn't surprise me that this was coming up in his session, right? And so the Ashkenazi Jews, so we're going to tie the last video together. So remember, I kept talking about there's going to be one lie that when we look into the religious template that we're looking at, there's one lie that's going to be removed. Source is going to remove it. And this one lie, when it's removed, will literally crumble and rattle whole industries. And this is why it's going to be a crash that you hear around the world, because it's being taken out directly from the template, directly from source, directly from our higher collective consciousness, right? So this is why it's going to be a massive downfall. So the Ashkenazi Jews, you have to know, the Ashkenazi Jews are not Israeli, but rather converts from Germany, and then they took a resident in the land of Israel. So by the fact that they're fighting with Palestine over lands that they're saying that God promised them is not true, because they are Ashkenazi Jews on paper. Only Jews when it comes time to get those longs. They are not the Jews of the Bible, the 12 tribes of Israel. The Ashkenazi Jews are just not that. And there's no way that you could refute that, because when you look on Wikipedia, it does say that they are Ashkenazi Jews and that they come from Germany. But even besides that, I think we all know who the real 12 tribes of Israel are. If we were to say it was a people, I like to think of it as its other metaphysical form, which is the 12 strand DNA. And when that comes back online, it really does start the codes of the original DNA, which is the humanity's original blueprint, which is the 12 tribes come back together, right? So that's what it is. Now, here's the thing, what they did to crash the market, they were doing that, going bullish and then shorting, going bullish and shorting. Well, what happened? I don't know what happened, but something went wrong when they were trying to do this fine dance of going bullish and shorting, where it literally scared everyone. Either they did this thing too fast, where people didn't have time to rationally think, so they just had to react quickly. Rather, this is what source is saying, they they shorted it too fast, where people panicked. And so that is how we got the crash of 1929. And I'm getting all this from a client's past life regression session and the remote viewing session that we had, and also some other talks that we have had about this. And also the past few days, the videos I've done about Charlie, these have not been about Charlie. Somehow, some way, his assassination is tied into the financial system. And I'm not sure how he was tied in, or maybe they needed to tie him out of the loop in order to do this, right? But I want to stay focused with what is happening, because there will be a crash that will be heard around the world. Now, here's the deal. In the last video, it states that what's going to happen when I was channeling the World Economic Forum is pulling the resources away from Israel. So when they do that, essentially what they're doing is pulling the money away from powerful families like the Rothschilds, because the Rothschilds lineage is of the Ashkenazi Jew, and the Ashkenazi Jew, the converts, not the original Jews, but they are the ones occupying the land of Israel. And the World Economic Forum, this is the one lie that I said that source would remove. They're pulling the funding out. And so essentially what that means is they're not funding their banks anymore. So if they're not funding the Rothschilds banks, then the Rothschilds have all of these investments in different industries around the world that they can't pay now, because they don't have the status with the bank. What we saw When this happens again. It's going to happen again where the Rothschilds do this same thing that they did. But this time, Trump comes in to try to help the market stay afloat. All of what we're seeing now with the moves that Trump is making, I personally happen to know because I've been following this thing energetically. What he's trying to do is he's trying to prop the market up. He's trying to hold this thing together because the crash is imminent. America has a problem. This will be the crash heard around the world, echoed around the world. So Israel is losing funding, meaning the Rothschild is losing funding. Now, we can say this is karma because look what they did in 1929. Now, mind you, it's in October. And usually these crashes happen in October. So we were getting an energy of September, October. Now, that could just be because this is harvest time. So it could be any harvest peak season anytime there is a spiritual harvest. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's September and October, even though the crash of 1929 was in October. But for me, I'm taking it as a time of spiritual harvest. So they do these things at a time where you are receiving your spiritual harvest. The latter rains, remember, I said is coming. It speaks about the latter rains of the Bible. And what this is, it's a spiritual windfall of all of the things that have been withheld from you for a very long time, even lifetimes, your prosperity, your health, wealth, relationships, all of those things. These are the latter rains being released by God. Okay. So when these spiritual peak seasons come up, this is when they like to do the shady things with the market because they want to siphon that latter rains from you, and they also want to stop you from actually getting the latter rains, getting your windfall from source in the physical. So what happens is they energetically insert themselves and then they pull that energy for themselves, making them more wealthy because they always come in when it's our spiritual peak season during harvest. So I want to make that clear of how they've been operating. And this is all coming through right now. So this is how they operate. So just know during our harvest seasons, we have to guard our energy field, and our spiritual property. We have spiritual property. We have spiritual wealth. We have spiritual trust. We have spiritual banks, rubies, gems, diamonds, crystals, all of that. That's in your wealth vault. We have to guard that because people like this, they are all esoteric. The Ashkenazi Jews, like them as a whole, right? Not as individual people. And I actually have Ashkenazi Jew in my lineage. It's not that much, just a few percentage. But nevertheless, I do have that on my dad's side. So, and coincidentally enough, he loves money too. So it's like they love money. They absolutely love money, right? And they're very big. They're all kind of big on stocks and stuff. I'm kind of noticing that. It's like, and it's not necessarily that it's in the gene, but it's in their template because this is why I keep talking about the templates and the lineage matters. This is in their lineage. So people carrying this blood lineage, they have this remembrance of this kind of greed, you know, and it's getting over on the next person so that you can get ahead. That's kind of what's in their template, and they're essentially the karmic retribution is coming. They need to be pulled down, and this is what's going to happen. The World Economic Forum is pulling out of the Israel lie, and when that happens, they can't pay their investors. They can't pay things they've already invested in. They start to lose a lot of wealth. So now remember what I told you. The elites are all scrambling. The world is broke in general. The world is broke and broken. And so remember in the last video, I said there's going to be some sort of coin. So it's a fine dance as they pull funding away from Israel, away from the Rothschilds, right? And other aristocratic families. They're preparing something. They're preparing some sort of new world system or government. But I think there's some sort of coin, crypto coin that unifies, that maybe doesn't replace the dollar or the euro or pound, but it works incongruent with it, but it's going to be much stronger. It feels as if it's slightly stronger, but that it's more easily able to be used because a lot of these other countries will be going belly up too. So we're not going to be that the forex exchange, we're not going to be doing that so much as of we will need to have the money in an actual coin form only because we need to be able to move the money through the different exchanges very rapidly. And so there's going to be one coin that truly does unify the falling of them pulling out of the Israel lie and the kind of new world coming together. Now, me and the guy that was doing the remote viewing, he feels that this could be the XRP coin. I'm not saying that, but this is what he feels. Now, XRP, I do know that I spoke about it, and it is a coin of the new world, right? And I speak about it as being this galactic coin. But nevertheless, we're going to get to that. But the first thing we need to do is figure out when this crash is coming because there is another crash coming. I'm going to tell you how to prepare and what you need to look out for, what you need to have, what kind of assets and properties and all of that you need to have, right? And I'll tell you how long we're going to be in that. So the first stage is we need to figure out when this happens because I believe we can stop it. I believe we can reverse engineer this. Matter of fact, I know that we can do it. We just got to get more information. And so I say that to say, I want to let you know that there's a big wave we've all been expecting. I channeled this last year, and there's actually been other prophets and readers that have seen something very similar. There's some sort of wave that I feel brings massive wealth. This I'm equating to the latter rains. Everything that has been withheld from you for a very long time. Because remember, the heaven was getting a cleansing. And remember, I channel the dark kingdom is literally, there's a holy war between the cosmos and the fake heaven, which essentially was the Ashkenazi Jew or Israel. It was their kind of spiritual domain and who's working with them, all the archons, and all of this is wrapped up. Everything that we've been saying this whole time that's just spiritual. Well, I seen it. And the the Jews, the fake Jews, not the real ones, the fake Jews are behind this. So when I say they got spiritual goons, these are the people that have been holding your wealth back from you. And I'm telling you, with everything I have, that's just the truth. They have been withholding your money from you, locked up in a false kingdom of heaven. There is a real heaven, but they made a false one to recycle and siphon. And so all of your money essentially, it's not good enough just for them to get the money here in the physical earth. They figured out that they could exchange your energetic currency, that they could siphon your energy as a currency, and that they could also recycle you, as well, which is keeping you on the reincarnation soul trap as well. So it's all of those things going on, but that lie is falling down. And somehow, some way, Charlie Kirk is involved in this. Not in a bad way. Somehow, some way, his energy is allowing all of this to fall down. I still don't know why that is because to be honest with you, I used to watch him a few years ago. I used to see some of his stuff, but I haven't seen him in like 3 years. So I don't know why or how he's involved, but the passing of him opened this massive opening up where now all of these things are able to shift, right? So he is, like him or hate him, he's part of the shift that we are experiencing. Now, get this. Get this. The elites are scrambling and they're running from each other. The whole world's bankrupt. You got to know that. America first. I'm going to tell you what I told you in the last video, what I saw happen in Europe. I think that Europe also, too, get some sort of unified coin. But in the remote viewing session we did last Wednesday, we saw that America on appeared to be one, but on paper they were fragmented and split up into different territories. Now, Texas does run to save itself. And the reason why it does that is because it has enough gold to survive, but also, too, it was the United States as a whole came together and allowed or wanted actually Texas to do this because Texas is holding a large amount of our reserve. So a lot of our gold and things were moved secretly to under tunnels to Texas. And so essentially when they're kind of going to safeguard Texas, it's going to look like either Texas is a bully or that they don't want Texas to do this, but secretly low key, that's the only hope for surviving some of America's wealth. So you have to know that that will happen. And so it looks as if states couple up. I see 5 coins coming out of America, 5 different cryptocurrencies or even different currencies that will, when this thing breaks apart, these coins will appear to be just coins. You have to know they'll get you excited about, oh, I got the coin that represents my state. I'm gonna invest in that. I'm gonna invest in my state. That's cool, right? But no, what it is that the whole corporation has divided and now they have to earn money to keep America afloat. And the way they're going to do that is through some sort of cryptocurrency, right? So that's the first thing we saw in the remote viewing. The other very interesting thing, and I think I mentioned this before, since America Corporation is no more, the treaties that they made with the Native Americans, those go belly up, right? So what I mean by when I say Native Americans, because you guys know I'm an Aboriginal Black American. What is that? Is the people that people are calling African Americans are not African American. Please don't say that. It's disrespectful. Respectfully disrespectful. We are just Americans that were here before America was formed. Our lineage goes back before 1776, before America was actually formed into a country. There was actually Black people living here. There was Black Moors and Black Indians. And in fact, this place used to be called Turtle Island. That's what our ancestors knew it as before America was formed. So nevertheless, not those people. There'll be something different happening to those people. But the Native Americans are the ones that came over from Asia and they migrated here probably 15 or 16,000 years ago. And then they were inhabiting this land with us for a very long time. But they're they're written in through a treaty. We're in the Constitution, but they're through a treaty. So when America goes belly up, something happens to those treaties where you know how like the different 5 civilized Indian tribes, they have like different lands that, they have that territory, right? They can't, not to say they can't occupy the land and live there. Of course, if you bought something, you can. But what I'm saying is they're not protected under a treaty anymore. So that now gets dissolved into wherever it's going to get dissolved into, if whether it's the nearest state that they're in or whether it is something different, but they don't have the rights for the territory. That they lose that. Word is bond. This is what I know, and I see it clear as day. I see that. And something very interesting now happens to the Black Americans, the original Aboriginals. Something very interesting happens. So, you know how I said I saw Trump paying, not giving, because you can't give someone what is already theirs, paying the, so to speak, Black Americans reparations. Well, what I saw was interesting because it was deeper than reparations. It wasn't reparations in this remote viewing, but what it was, something happens when the America goes belly up and then those territories go away. I don't know what it is because I'm not versed in Moorish science and Moorish history, but I can tell you that, well, I know like my dad's a Moor and he like the Moors have a trust. The Moors have been in lawsuit with the Corporation of America for a very long time, suing them for trillions of dollars for the money that was stolen, um, you know, essentially through all of this time,
in the space.
We can call Moors, we can say Aboriginals, and we can say Indians, right? If we can even go back and say the um I don't even know. I don't want to necessarily call it that, but essentially, I don't want to complicate things. We're not going to go back too far. But all I'm saying is that they have been in a lawsuit, and this is going to be important. Now I'm seeing, because I used to think you might be a little cuckoo, but now I'm seeing that everything he was saying was right, right? And it's very hard to understand. It's very intricate because there's legalese. There's a whole nother law that you have to understand, right? And so what I see for this group of people that we call Black Americans, that they get something better than reparations. Appears that some of the old things that they owned comes back, is reverted naturally back to them with a maritime law. I'm channeling that now. Don't know what that is. A maritime law of some sort reverts some of these things and lands back to them. Like, for instance, I know in my own family that, and this is a lot, if you talk to a lot of Black Americans, everyone says, oh, yeah, we got land in Mississippi, we got land in Alabama, we got land here and there. But somehow the land gets taken. And so what ends up happening is a thing called paper genocide. Well, our nationality and lineage was paper genocided, but then also too, the things we owned became part of a paperwork war because we didn't deal with that. We were children of the land and of the sun. And then they came in with paperwork and new laws and stuff. And we weren't dealing with that kind of law. We had our own, a maritime law. Is what I'm channeling, right? And so somehow, some way, when all of this falls down, lands go back. And these are things that will be documented. Won't be out of the blue. It will literally, files will be open. You know what I mean? And and families will be not getting reparations, but just getting back what was stolen, right? And it's really that simple. So it's like when people say, do you believe in you don't have to believe in reparations, but you can't come to a land that's already occupied and build your kingdom on top of a civilization that's already there. I don't know where they do that at. That's, you can't, that's unlawful spiritually. And in this season, the karmic retribution says that has to be paid back, right? So this is just spiritual law that's coming back around, right? So those people, I see women, particularly Black women, doing really well in business. There's Black families coming back together. Coincidentally enough, all that stuff that Charlie spoke about the Black family and how they're broken and there's not a lot of fathers in the homes, like 70% or something like that. It's weird because when we retrieve our things, the families coincidentally come back together. So essentially, when you stop stealing, then it allows for the families to come back together. I can't make it up. This is just what I'm seeing. It's what Source is saying. So that is what will be going on. Now, I need to tell you, you do not want to be, when this crash happens, you do not want to be stuck in a house with bad pipes. This is what sources said in the remote viewing, because there won't be any landlords to keep up with maintenance during this time because they won't have money. And so the pipes will make it unbearable for you to live there. The pipes could bust in the winter. The pipes could, what I'm really smelling is some sort of soil, sewage smell coming up from the pipes, making the home inhabitable. It could cause leaks and lead to mold. So essentially, if you are in a house that has bad pipes, essentially you will be homeless. So what I'm telling you guys, because this will happen, and what you're going to need, if you're in a house with old pipes or bad pipes, either get those changed, make sure that you can survive at least 5 years of where you are, because we could be, if this thing is not a quick recovery, it could trigger the 7 years of tribulation, but I don't see it as seven. I see it as 5 years, but it could go up to 7. So what I'm saying is that is one thing that the remote viewing revealed. You can't be in a house with bad piping. So you need to get somewhere where you could be at least for the next 5 years, 5 to 7 years. Okay. I also saw, it's very interesting. I saw families. So I saw white families, right? That were like, let's say they were middle class or upper middle class, because the schools won't be, I don't even know if the schools might be doing more of online thing, or there may still be schools is what I see, but the funding for the extracurricular activities, it won't be there. So the sports and stuff, unfortunately, children won't be playing that. So I saw like a bunch of like, I saw a white mother in the room with her two like kind of preteen boys, and they were playing board games and they were bonding. And believe it or not, guys, it brings certain families back together. So families that kind of had a little bit more wealth, where the children had a little bit more freedom and the parents had a little bit more freedom to kind of be away from their children, because we're not really doing that in this season. The families, they're still okay. I saw that financially they'll be okay, but because there's not money for the extra things, the families are coming back together. They're going to be talking, just getting reacquainted back with each other, becoming a family again, which is beautiful, and there will be good things that happen from the crash, right? So essentially that's what you have to know. That's playing out in America as we saw in the remote viewing. Now, the pull away from Israel. All the elites are fighting and scrambling, right? So they have coins that they need to get ready to come out. They're going to present this to us as meme coins, as the fun thing to do, as buy a coin that represents your country or your state, right? But truly what it is, it's the replacement of like the backlash, I think, from Israel, because they're tied up in these investments too, because they're the banking system that's loaning Israel money. It's all very convoluted. So in a way, yes, they pull out of Israel funding them, but it messes their bag up at the same time, causing a crash. But this time, this is what I saw. So we have the Rothschilds that cause all these crash to the market. They caused the Great Depression. Now here's where Trump comes in. Trump's going to do something. He's all of this he's been doing. He's trying to keep that ship from sinking. And remember what we channeled in the last session, something that Charlie did, because Charlie is not playing both sides like some of these older elites. Charlie is very much on the side of, the right wing, that, his values. He's not playing both sides. So what he did, the like Trump showed it to me like a sea, like a ship that was going down. Well, something that Charlie did or said or exposed rather pulled up a huge part of the floorboards in the ship, causing all this water to come in. And so this is actually what happened with Charlie. Whatever that thing was that Charlie incited made the financial market rocky. Whatever truth it was that he revealed, exposed, or revealed caused a premature leak in the financial system. So the problem is the crash is going to be coming a lot sooner than we thought, because of whatever it was that Charlie got pulled up, whatever truth or whatever it was that he pulled up, that the other elites were not ready, because they're trying to systematically do this. Because remember, they don't like to be caught off guard. They're trying to systematically do this, but now they're rushing, because whatever that was, and it has a lot to do with the Epstein files, as if you've been following the videos. So now there's a problem. There's a leak in the ship, and Trump has been trying to patch it up. And this is all alleged, but I see Trump doing something illegal to 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 help prop up the financial system so it does not crash. Now, it will be illegal, but he's trying to help our financial system from not crashing. But nevertheless, it is illegal. And whatever that thing is, now here's the two timelines, and this is why we have to work to get the pure timeline of what we want. Because on one end, We have the Rothschilds who've been doing this, and they know that this is the latter rain season, this is our harvest season, and it's time for another crash. It's time for them to make money. And if this thing happens with Israel, when it happens, rather, they're going to turn to the markets to get money. And so we got the Rothschilds, a race with them crashing. And then we have what Trump's going to do, something illegal. I don't know if it involves a law, paperwork, a contract, but he's going to do something to try to stop the leaks, but it's going to cause a massive that hole that Charlie created in the ship of our economic system. As Trump's trying to cover it up to press the water back down with whatever illegal thing he's going to do to try to prop it up, it causes the market to go way up. Whatever it is, it causes the water to go way up. And this has been the big wave that I've been channeling and other prophets have been channeling. During that time, these things will skyrocket. And when I'm telling you, these cryptos will go so high, but because it's a mistake, because it was never supposed to be that way, they will stop it very quickly. I mean, this thing could happen in a blink of an eye. And so you have to be staying close to the edges, watching the market, watching. You'll know when things start to gain momentum. You'll see it. But when the huge wave happens, it will happen suddenly. And you have to be prepared and ready with your financial plan. And this is where it gets deep. So that's one timeline that will come. The other timeline is when they pull out of Israel, that the Rothschilds will run to the market to try to recoup money to keep themselves afloat in all of the various endeavors that they have around the world. And so we have two timelines playing out. One that it will want to push the market down with the Rothschilds, and then the other one when Trump tries to do something to save it or stabilize, it actually gets away from them and it goes way up to the point where it's like unbelievably way up, to the point where it's like illegally way up, where it's almost as if, to be honest with you guys, it's like it's so high to the point it's like I think a lot of these platforms shut down so you don't sell. And that's why a lot of people have been seeing in the spirit that people will be having problems with the sell triggers. They won't be working because these platforms will be canceling them. That's why a lot of people have been talking about sell triggers on Kraken will go through. They've been seeing this, right? But I believe we can shift the paradigm so that all our sell triggers will go through because at the end of the day, if we become a vibrational match to the millions, to the prosperity, to that big wave, that massive wave, if we don't have any lack and we say, yes, I can hold this energetically, I can hold this much money, then I think we'll be fine, right? So that's what is going on. And I just wanted to come here and get that out because after that big wave happens, now we're supposed to get the big wave before the crash. However, what I'm seeing now that I'm channeling the pull out of Israel, the crash, they want the crash to come first. If that crash comes first, I do not think we will get the big wave at all. This is what I'm saying. They're tinkering around with the timelines. That's what this is. When you make a major decision, and the more you hold the vibration of that major decision, it changes timeline. So that's what I'm saying. So, what we have to do is make sure we get the timeline. To be honest, the timeline where Trump does something illegal to try to hold it up because that is what triggers the big wave. It does trigger it. Now, part of it too was supposed to be honest with you, it was supposed to be organic. See, here's the problem. They stopped the bull run. It was already supposed to happen early this year. We were already supposed to have pulled our money out, waiting for the dip, the rinse, and the repeat on this thing. But because they delayed it, because the world apparently is broke, because they delayed it, now you got to come around and do something fraudulent because you can't delay natural flow. It's that manipulation energy. And when it comes back around to you, it boomerangs. And this is the whole karma. So if they would have just allowed the natural flow of the market, the source wouldn't have to recorrect their thing with a massive wave, right? So I hope you can understand that. But the thing is, if they if they cause this crash, and this crash could be down 90% from where we are now. And in some regards, we may already be down, but it could be an additional 90% down to the downside. And to be honest, that would decimate most people. And to be honest, most people will just sell out like they did. That's what caused the other crash, because we were able to see that during his past life regression. The other crash was called because people got scared. They just pulled out their money. But typically, if you just hold on, the market will rebound simply because this is the game, what the elites do. They purposely sell off because they want to take the wealth from you and give it back to themselves. So, whatever gains they gave you on the way up, they just take those back on the way down. And so essentially, that is one timeline that I see. And the other timeline is the one where Trump tries to prop it up. It goes crazy high. And then we're trying to see if we can get our money out. And this kind of is indicative to what happened the first crash, where people were going to their banks to try to get out their gold and silver and things, and they didn't have enough. And this is actually the original creation of money, guys. Paper was a note. So if you look on your dollar, it'll say reserve note. It was a promissory note. So people stored their real money in the bank, their gold. They were written a promissory note. That note was to go back into the bank and exchange the note for the gold, for the true money. But then the bankers realized that everyone didn't come back at the same time to collect their gold. So they created the Federal Reserve note, and they only had to keep a certain amount of gold on hand, but they could loan out. Let's say they would keep 10% gold for whatever 100% that they would loan out, because they had it figured out. Not everyone would come back for the gold at the same time. So they started writing these IOUs. And this is how we slowly morphed into the fiat system. This is why when you go to the bank, if you want to withdraw thousands of dollars, hey, they give you some pushback because they're still on that old system. You keeping your money in there, they don't have all of the money to give you. They're loaning out 100%. They only have 10% reserve. It's the same system, right? So you have to know that. So these are the two timelines. And so after we go ahead and course correct the timelines, then what we need to find out, what are these coins that they're, we need to find out what those coins are. So I'm going to be working on that. What are the coins for this new world? Because the thing about it is, oh, I need to tell you, you can't just sell all of your coins. Like if you have XRP, because XRP is the financial system for the new world we're moving into. So XRP is one of those. I believe that some of the other X coins will be part of that, and there will be, of course, the Bitcoins and Ethereums and all of that. But I believe there's some coins that they have not brought out yet, that they are saving for when they pull out of Israel. Then they launch these coins, and so it's a fine dance. So they pull out of any contracts and ties, because if they were to bring out the coins and the coins go up and they're still in contract with Israel, that money would revert back to Israel. You see what I'm saying? Israel is the big Debo on the playground, on the jail playground. That's what Israel is. Everything reverts back to them, even the stock market. And this is why the world is broke, because guess what? I saw their kingdom of darkness being dismantled in the spiritual realm. And as it dismantles in the spiritual realm, as the holy war has been going on, that's why their kingdom down here is falling down. Just wait and watch. You don't believe me. This is all just what sources said. And so that's what's going on. So we'll be on the lookout for what those coins will be so that we can know where we need to be. But we can't sell all of our coins, especially not all of the XRP, because you're going to need that because you're going to be able to be the lender and not the borrower when you hold certain cryptos. But then you also going to need some cash because what's going to happen is people will be selling their houses for very low because they're going to be strapped for cash. So the thing is we have to get the big wave first, pull money out, save save some reserve of coins so we can operate in the new world, pull money out, wait for the market, the housing market to dip, and then buy cash houses, right? For yourself or for your family or whoever, because people will be selling that, right? And so this is how the wealth transfer is. So it's a whole dance, and they know this, and so we got to get ours before they pull it down. And this is what they're trying to do. But what we're doing, guys, we're catching them before they do it. I believe we can shift the paradigm. I believe we can stop their timeline and make sure we get our big wave first. This is what I'm saying. So, yep, we have keep some in the market, let it crash, let it do its thing. It will rebound. Get some cash so we can weather the storm of the 5 or 7 years that's coming when the crash comes, right? And then, you will be fine. You'll be fine. But we got to get ours before they get theirs, or this thing's going to be delayed for how long? And it's already delayed by almost a year. This was already supposed to happen. So that's what's going on. And I needed to let you guys know that so that we can start preparing. And you're going to need, I think what we saw was lots of water, not necessarily the canned goods and stuff, but the water is going to be very important because I'm not sure we're going to be able to get functional proper water during this time. And I mean, you should stock up on a lot of water. Get those big 5-gallon jugs, keep getting those and storing that stuff up. And I don't know when this will happen, but it's better to be prepared than not to be prepared. You can get some food items too, but the main thing that was pointed out is the water. And then also not to be in a house with old pipings because wherever you dwell, you may have to dwell there and bunker down for 5 to 7 years, depending on the exodus of the Israel and the backlash and the new financial system. So what we're approaching, guys, as we make our ascend to 2028, 2029, 2030, up to 2032. We will experience a world like you've never seen before. We we have not met the real AI yet. This is just preliminary. The true AI is I channeled it, but it's when they get all the robots in with the AI, but it's even a lot deeper than that. That hasn't come online yet. We will literally be in a new world. And we can go, this is what I see with the new big wave. The ones of us that have been down in the past age, we've been down, right? Or our lineage has been down and beat down. In the new age, because of the structure, what happens is that this is the great equalizer happening. So we don't have to worry. You don't even have to worry about this thing called reparations because things have a way of working themselves out. And this is when, the old people talk about faith and that unwavering faith. There are some foundational, church things that are good, that are still sturdy. They still stand strong, and this unwavering faith that one day that the trouble won't last always, right? And so I do see this is the great equalizer. Some people that are living on stolen wealth, stolen lands, all of that, the wealth it'll start to be spread out, but not just to anyone. It will be returned to its owner through the latter rains, through the holy wars within the cosmic sphere, through the false kingdom of Israel falling down in the spirit realm, and then now falling down here on earth. All of that energy crashes down. They have to release us from bondage. They have to release us from trading our birth certificates on the stock market. This is also another thing we have to do. We have to get our money because each and every one of us are worth millions of dollars because they trade our birth certificate on the stock market daily, and they tell you that your child must have a birth certificate because that is the way they bond your child into their paper genocide. So essentially, what they do is when you sign that birth certificate, your child essentially now becomes a all caps, right? Becomes a straw man or becomes a corporation, and then they're able to take out insurance policies against your children. It's just a huge siphon fest. And we're going to and this all goes back to Israel. It's fake. What kind of godly people siphons every part of your body, your spirit? They got you all locked up in church, siphoning your spirituality, all locked up in the false medical system where they just pushing pills, the red pill, yellow pill, blue pill all day long. They got you all fragmented, right? It's all goes back to them. And it has to fall down. There's no way we can take this into the new age of expanded consciousness. This has to be removed. It has to. Has to. Or else we will be stuck in time, frozen, in fact. It has to be fall down. So I think I said it. Goodness, I tried to not be long winded, but you guys know I'm kind of long winded, and I'm sorry about that. But uh, that is what it is, and I love you guys so very much. And I'm here at the chat taking a look. We unify North America, Canada. Yep, North America, Canada, and Mexico. I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. XRP, Amero. Okay. Avatar, Jonathan Cam, Charlie Kirk has been noted in a biblical historical prophecy. Wow. Media will blame Trump in the second crash. Yes, they will. They will. They will blame him. But in truth, he's actually trying to help it. And he's going to be the reason why it goes crazy up. We just got to pray we can get our money out, that these exchanges don't stop it. That's why I'm going to be up, y'all. I'm going to be up in the middle of the night. I don't even think I'll sleep during this period of time. I'm just going to be up catching it, right? But um but that's what's going on. That's why the energy's so chaotic. These elites are scrambling, they're fighting. It's a all out, but when this thing after the smoke clears, we enter a new world. We enter a new world where everything is just. And here's the purified part of the heart. Our heart gets purified. Don't ever think, if you come from a lineage, Source wants me to tell you this. If you come from a lineage that stole or pillaged or did anything, our hearts are going to be purified. Do you know that the people in your lineage may have went against us this time? No, there's going to be straight up forgiveness, y'all, because the energy, guys, I don't know, something's going to happen where the truce will be made, the love will be brought back, felt deeply, strongly from the heart space. You're going to be forgiven. You're when you're forgiven and you forgive yourself, that's how you clean up your ancestral templates. When you hold on to the things of the past, like even through your past life, like my client was holding on to this, holding on to the crash. He felt super bad. And now I understand why, because he's part German. So in some regards, you know, his energy does trace back to that, but he is also part of spiritual Israel, part of the tribe of Benjamin. So it's very interesting as well. So he could actually see it from both sides as well. But we're going to be loving each other again because we took the bait. We got into their game, and it was all about money. And to be honest with you, it was both of us, because all these civilizations before, even before the America were here, there were other civilizations of black and brown people. They were greedy too. This world has always been greedy, and this world has always had slaves. Make no mistake about that. There was slavery before America, and hopefully there won't be slavery after, but ain't nothing new under the sun. So this has been something we've been dealing with probably since the beginning of time, using people for, bodies for whatever, just to get money. That's all being equalized. So the beauty is we're going to be loving each other. We're going to have forgiven you. It's going to be like nothing happened, because when Source wipes the templates clean, it's clean. When Source comes through and wipes it clean, your heart is now purified. And that's the only way to the new timeline. There's no way we can bring this template with us. It's too divisive. Even these different political parties, it's all too divisive. Humanity, we're not looking for divisive in the new age. We're looking for light, for airy. We're not looking for that. We're looking for love and unity consciousness. That's what we're wanting, because this thing has beat us up a lot. It's beat us up a lot, and we're going to heal. We're going to heal together, and we will be stronger because of it, okay? And so, okay. Oh, love wins. I'll email and share the insights in the incoming weeks. Perfect. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, we're going to be trying to figure out what these coins are too. So, I believe that the reason why, God gives us this, why we get these prophecies, is so that we can set ourselves up. So we're not a casualty of the war, of these two sides of the elites fighting. Okay. So I'm going to get out of here. I was asleep. I had washed all my makeup off and everything. And I had to come back really quickly. But I love you guys. I love you. I love you. And so it is, as we walk together in divine love. Be well. Bye.